Let me know. Okay, the microphone is on. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It is June 20th, 2018, and I'm right here local in Columbus, Ohio. You guys, welcome to my living room. I decided to hang out at home today because I had a few other things I needed to get done and just get this live presentation done, broadcasting all the way from Reynoldsburg, Ohio, in my living room. So welcome. So today, let me first introduce myself. I'm picking up Aaron over here. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Theresa Barron. I am actually the broker of Take a Look Real Estate Brokers, and it's a small little brokerage here located in Columbus, Ohio, and we service Central Ohio. However, anything is possible. We may end up in Florida and a couple of other states in the very near future. But the information that I share is global. You can utilize it anywhere. And if I'm not able to serve you, for sure, you can find somebody like me in a town near you. It's basically to give you the information. So I've been in real estate for 25 years, and so I'm getting towards the end of a career because I may stay in it another 10 or 15 years. But really, I'm at the point and place in my life where I want to make sure that I transfer this information. It's a whole catalog of information, a lifestyle, if you will. And I'm probably the most unlikely person in the world, if you look at my statistics, to actually be in the position that I'm in. And so I wanted to share this because so many people are doing things that they just really don't want to do. Like, you know, I guess we should always be thankful for the incomes and the positions that we have, but a lot of times it takes up a good majority of our life. We spend 8 to 9 hours a day working at a job we really, really don't like. People put their dreams on hold. They fail to discover the things that they love to do, and end up kind of stuck in that situation when they end up with mortgages and kids and responsibilities. They have to maintain those positions. So what I wanted to share with you is how we can become a little bit more self-sufficient, and discover what your passions are and how maybe real estate could add to that. It doesn't have to be real estate. It just happens to be what I do. And I've seen a lot of people become very successful and find the lifestyle that they really, really, really want in the field of real estate. And I just wanted to share with you, in case it's something you thought about, or if you have a license and you haven't quite figured out how to make it happen, I will tell you the number one thing that you might want to do is to connect with someone who's willing to share with you the experiences that make it successful. So let me tell you my story. Actually, I'm going to try to make it brief. I'm watching the time here so I don't go over. But like I said, I'm the most unlikely person to statistically speaking, to really make this thing happen. Here's the deal. At 19 years old or 21 years old, I bought my first house. Excuse me, 21, bought my first house. I was a single mom with 3 kids. And the number one thing that I knew is that I didn't want to continue to pay rent. And the reason why I didn't want to pay rent, there's a story behind that. My apartment complex let me know in no uncertain terms that for the same exact place, every single year they would be raising my rent. And I said, well, it sounds like I'm in the wrong position. I figured that out at 21. By the time I was 22, and before that lease renewed, I actually ended up buying my first property. I thank God that I had a mother who was willing to help me get through that process in terms of the down payment, because I really didn't have a down payment. And let me tell y'all, the interest rates were at 10%. This was back in 1989. So I'm a single mom, 3 kids, paying in the apartment $400 a month in rent. And at the time, that's in Columbus, that was expensive. That was like $1,100 a month today. So just to put it in perspective, it was a big number for a single mom with 3 kids, or 2 kids at the time, on my third one coming. Now, I got into this rental property. I mean, this ownership property, and this property cost me $335 a month. I got an extra bedroom. I got myself a fenced yard. I had a 2-car garage, and if I couldn't pay it by the first, it was okay. I could pay it by the 15th or the 30th, or if I happened to be really late or things really got twisted, I could pay it by the 15th of the next month and just catch it all up. And that was such a blessing to me. And what it did is it began the mindset of freedom. Now, that was one piece. That was one piece and one a piece of the puzzle to begin my freedom journey, because I didn't have the same pressures that some of my friends had. My friends actually had to pay their rent by the first. And if they were late by the fifth, it became a major, major issue. Now, let's see. There was a second piece, though. I was working a regular job, and the job required that I get up at 6:30 in the morning, get my kids situated, then get them to daycare, whatever, get them to wherever they needed to be, school or whatever the situation was. And then get myself to work, clock in, be there 8 hours, then turn around after work, pick the kids up, get home, and try to be superwoman. There was a problem with that. It just took up all my time, all my energy, all my efforts to just keep and sustain and maintain that. And to make matters worse, when I would try to get myself to go into a different direction, one where I saw other people working, they had a little bit more freedom, they had a little bit more time, they had a little bit more money, they were getting paid what I thought was a better wage or salary, I kept getting blocked. I was getting blocked from every direction. Nobody wanted me to leave the department. Every time I turned around, I was blocked. And there was another reason why I needed to remain in the position that they wanted to keep me in. So I started thinking about my freedom, and I knew that this was not going to be my life. That's what I knew for sure. I knew if whatever it took, I would be willing to do the things that it took so that I would get and maintain my opportunity to get my freedom. I wanted to control my life. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it, with whom I wanted to do it. Sounds like a tall order, doesn't it? Well, I actually stayed in corporate America until 1997. So this was 8 years in corporate America, and actually maybe a little bit longer than that, but 8 years at one institution. I got my real estate license in 1994. So that's 25 years ago. The very first transaction I did was a $69,000 house. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So let's just call it $70,000. And at the time, I was probably earning somewhere around $14, $15 an hour, something like that, working at a bank. And I was making a paycheck, just to kind of put it in perspective, of about $1,000 every other week. I worked, I got paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. So I'd bring home somewhere around $2,000 a month, and that was enough for me to handle my expenses. But I gave up all my time. And at this point, on my lunch breaks, I would serve my real estate clients. And I would serve them in an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes. Even if I had to come back a little bit late from lunch, I'd get them served. And the very first transaction I did in 1994, which was 1 month after I got my license, was a $70,000 transaction. And the commission on that transaction was 3% of 70,000. So that's, if you do the math on that, it's a very simple equation. It probably took me, let's just say I was a little slow. It took me about 20 hours to do that transaction. It's a lot of lunch breaks, probably 3 weeks to get everything in order. And I made $2,100 in gross commissions in 3 weeks. Now, let me just share with you. I didn't really get, it's not really that good, because that $2,100, I had to split half of it with my broker. So my broker at that time was one of the big box brokers, and they took 50% of my commissions. So I actually only made about $1,000, a little over $1,000, because I also had some desk fees. Now, having that $1,000 though, in 20 hours as opposed to having to work 40 hours for the same net $1,000, was a light bulb. There was a light bulb that went off in my head. I started to realize that my time could be, I didn't need to listen to what other people were saying about the value of my time. My time could be valued at double the rate that they were paying me. And I thought that was really, really, really good. And it was all up to me to make it happen. So, needless to say, it began the mindset with me to try to figure out how to do it more frequently. And it really was a bunch of trial and error in the beginning. After about 4 years of trialing and erroring and really seeing the income grow and really taking in the things that I needed to do in order to make this very consistent and very predictable, I decided to go out on a leap of faith and jump out of the corporate office and corporate environment and get into my own business and support myself. So what I want you to know is that if it's possible, so that's, let's see here, I would have been roughly 30 years old, 31, 32 years old, maybe 30, 31 when I started going 100% independent. And at that time, eventually, within about a year of going independent, I found an independent broker. Now, I can't tell you how much value that this lady, her name was Terry Aston, so I want to give her full credit, how much value this lady brought to me. Within, I'd say, 90 to 100 days, I was actually earning the equivalent of $100,000 in revenue or commissions in a 12-month period. And for me, I felt like I was on top of the world. How many of you would love to earn $100,000 in a year? I know that it's not a millionaire. I'm not talking about becoming a millionaire. What I'm talking about is actually having the opportunity to do what you want to do, defined by you, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, wherever you want to do it. I think it is not necessary that we all make $1 million. And most of us are really, just to be quite frankly honest with you, not willing to do what it takes to earn that $1 million. Because what we find is when we get to about $100,000, we can do most of the things that we want to do, and we can go most of the places that we want to go, and we can have most of the time freedom that we would like to have. That's what I'm really here to focus on, because I truly believe that getting to that income level is still a benchmark, since most people don't earn it. Now, Erin, are you there? Oh, did I lose you? Okay, hold on, y'all. I'm about to put her back on the line because I think I lost her. I'm about to put her back on. But anyway, let me give you a little bit more information about how we define this. If in fact, real estate is a career that you're thinking about, then what I would like to tell you is it takes approximately 2 transactions per month to earn the income that you would like to earn. Let's just say trying to get to about 100,000. Currently in our market, I'm losing her. In our market, you can earn that 100,000 with 2 transactions per month. Now, what does that look like? I will tell you, it's not very difficult. 2 transactions a month is 24 transactions a year. If you're out here actively doing what you need to do, you can definitely do that. What it requires is somewhere between 15 and 20 hours worth of concerted effort to earn those funds. That's what it requires. It definitely is that. Hey, Erin, do I have you back? Okay, good. You're coming up as scam likely. That's so funny. That's so funny, y'all. I just got her on the line. 15 to 20 hours per transaction is what it takes. Thank you. I'm glad you're back. 15 to 20 hours per transaction. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about serving people. And what I found out over the years is that The more people I help get what they want, the more I'm able to get what I want. So if I help people get what they need, and I should probably term it like that, I'm more able, once I help people get what they need, I'm more able to get what I want. So bottom line is if you're willing to do the work, spend 15 to 20 hours per client, you can earn that income because right now in Central Ohio, the average transaction, let's just say it's $200,000 a year. And let's multiply that by the average commission. Most people are paid, if they're in the real estate industry, about 3% of the total commission. And 3% would be, you just look at it, it's about $6,000 gross. Now, if you're an agent, you're going to split a piece of that with the broker. And in my brokerage, the agents would receive $4,800 of that on a typical contract. And that $4,800, if you do that twice a month, if you do that, you can see what that brings. $9,600 a year, you're over $100,000, right? Now let's talk about how you get to become, what it takes to become an agent. What does it take to become an agent? Well, I'll tell you, we have one of the best training systems here in Central Ohio. I'm going to plug the school because they have done a phenomenal job of getting people in the process of selling real estate and through the system of becoming an actual licensed agent. It takes very, very little money and very little time as compared to some of the other professions that would get you a license in the state of Ohio. You are required to take, first of all, 4 courses. One is Principles in Practice. And I would suggest that you start with that course because it lays a foundation. And if you find out, by going through the Principles in Practice course that you're just not suited for it, like you're not going to follow through, you've wasted very little time and very little money, and you do have a better understanding of what it takes to get through that process. The second course that I'm going to recommend that you absolutely must take is the law course. And I'm just making recommendations in terms of the order of the coursework. The law course will get you through what's required so far as the state of Ohio and the federal government, what are required in terms of the licensure laws. That course is equal in terms of importance, and that's the way the state looks at it. You're going to spend about 40 hours on that course. And then the final 2 courses are appraisal and finance. And frankly, in my mind, it doesn't matter which way you take those courses. They're basic math and basic information. You should just be prepared to take those other 2 courses. I always tell the agents that are getting started that it's probably better to run through it very, very quickly as opposed to, taking a course and taking 3 months to complete it. These courses can actually be completed in 1 week if you're focused enough and you actually work through the process. So what happens after you take the course? Well, there is an exam, and that exam requires that you be tested at an official site with the state of Ohio. You must have a broker's signature on a form stating that they are willing to sponsor you, and that's where I come in. I want you to come see me. Let's get that form turned in. You will go and sit for the exam, and we're going to cross our fingers and hope that you pass the exam. Now, that's not the end of the story. The bottom line is that when you're getting started in real estate, the thing that helps you get started the fastest and getting into the mindset that you need so that you can achieve the goals that you're really setting forth for yourself, the thing that helps is the mentorship. And my goal is to streamline you and help you to not have to go through the processes of trial and error so much. I'm not saying that you won't have to go through any of it, but I am saying that we can cut it down just like Terry Aston was able to cut it down for me and to take me very quickly from maybe $40,000 in commissions all the way up to 100 very, very quickly. I think you could do that. And I think that I could definitely teach you how to do that. Aaron, how am I doing with time? And are there any other subjects or topics that I need to cover here in terms of getting people started? And You want to help keep me on task here?
Yeah, if you could answer the question, what does it take to be a good agent? What's required of someone to become a really good agent? What are some of those keys and responsibilities and things that they can focus on?
So hopefully you guys can hear her. I have her in the background so we can get some questions answered, and just kind of keep me on task. She's asking, what is it required? What's required to become a really, really good agent? And I'm going to tell you the number one thing that I have to do, and I think the reason why I have been much more successful than most folks in real estate is because I really listen and put myself in my client's shoes. So I don't care about the commission check until I have served my client at the highest level. It never crosses my mind to sell them the highest price property. It never crosses my mind to put them in a specific neighborhood. I'm listening to my clients and I want to understand what's going to make their life better. And they are largely guiding me through that process. I try to put my clients' eyes on. I try to put their ears on, and I try to get into their lifestyle and get a very clear understanding of the things that they need. Now, once I get that understanding, then I can set some phenomenal expectations. In other words, I'm not going to sugarcoat and make things seem like they're easier than they are. If I have a listing client, somebody who's selling their home, then I'm going to make sure that they understand exactly what they're about to go through, which is a little bit of trials and tribulations because you're going to have a bunch of people tracking through your house and it's not going to be convenient and your house must stay absolutely pristine clean, squeaky clean. And it may not be at times when it may be during the middle of dinner or right when you wake up in the morning. So I set exact expectations in the mind of my client. I'm always trying to set the expectation so that they are clear on what it is that they're about to go through in this whole process of real estate. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And so the next question is, what is, if say for instance I was an aspiring agent and I was considering your brokerage,
yes,
what would I able to look forward to in terms of the training program and the tools and resources and the mentoring and network? What would I be able to receive from your brokerage that would help set me apart as a successful agent?
Well, again, I follow not just the self-development and personal development that comes with real estate, but personal development generally speaking. I try to teach what I've learned, and I've taken thousands of hours. I will just say probably, let's just say more than 2,000 hours of personal development training. I transfer that information that I have learned and spent probably a good, $100,000 on training sessions. I take that and I transfer it to the agents. So they're going to get a lot of one-on-one training. They're going to get exposed. If you're an agent and you're not quite meeting the objective, they're going to get exposed to how do you position yourself in the marketplace? How do you attract your buyers and your sellers? And how do you not waste any time on people who are really not looking for your services or not really ready to receive those services at this moment, but keep them in mind so that you can stay in contact with them. Those are the kinds of training sessions, and they're very specific. We've got online training that we are rolling out as we speak. We also have direct training, so we can do conference calls. We also bring you into systems, and we use systems as an acronym for saving yourself significant time, energy, and money. Those systems will filter out and get you to where you need to be in an expedited period of time. But you are the number one ingredient. It's like baking a cake. If you tell me, if I tell you to bake this cake, I need flour, butter, sugar, oil, eggs, and a little bit of baking soda, and you use everything but the baking soda and the butter, you're going to get something, but it's not going to be the cake. And the formula, the formula that we use is very, very similar to that. We are here to support, to guide, to train, and to maximize the agent's strengths. And one of those things we will do is a SWOT analysis, which is to determine your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats so that we can improve and find the areas where you're just going to really, really, really master your marketing. So, does that help, Aaron?
Yes, and then finally, please tell them how they can contact you, the various ways that they can contact you or come into contact with your information, like, your content and stuff online.
Absolutely. So listen, if you want to just kind of peruse and see what we're doing and you want to sit by the sidelines and take a look at some of the things that we're doing a lot at the moment. We've got a phenomenal blog out there, and it's really, meeting the needs of consumers. It is at barronbrands.com, BARRONBRANDS.com. It's full of tips, information, and how to get in contact. You can also text, email, or phone. You can reach me directly at 614-778-8503. You can text me at that very same number. You can also email me at admin, ADMIN, at takealookbrokers.com. The goal right now is to really find out how we can assist anyone who wants to get into the idea of owning their life. We want to help you to own your life. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not just a real estate broker. I really have licensure in several other things. And I will just tell you that real estate is the number one income producer, and nothing, not anything else that I've put my hands on has been able to outproduce the real estate value, the value added to my life. It has been a phenomenal journey. And I just feel like there are so many people who could really, really benefit by just getting that extra. I'm not talking $500 a month, and I'm not talking $2,000 a month. I had an agent on Monday who works a full-time job at a major corporation, and I promise you, she earned $3,800 and some change just on Monday. She put a total of 20 hours in, and that really boiled her down to $227 an hour. That's how much money she earned on that transaction. If she can do it, definitely there are a lot of other people who can do it. And my goal is to reach out and help those that are interested in getting into this field, help them to discover the opportunities that exist. I also believe that if it is your if real estate is a career path for you, it can also be a phenomenal investment tool. It can be an extraordinary investment tool. And Aaron, you think I should maybe get into that just a little bit about that house that I bought 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me tell you the story. Let's continue with this story. This is where we began. The house that I bought 30 years ago was located in a first-time home buyer's neighborhood. I paid $35,000 for that house. So once you get into real estate, you really should be considering how you can utilize it to create an exit strategy so that you don't have to do it for necessarily 30 years unless you really, really want to. You can begin to scale it back some and really get into the passions and the things that, we wanted to do when we were kids, the things that we kind of set aside because we have families and all these responsibilities and no time to really get involved with the things that you love to do. So I bought that house January 15th, 1989. And now we're almost 29 years and 6 months into the deal. I will tell you, I only lived in that property, which is kind of crazy. I only lived in that property about a year and a half, because by the time I got to 1991, I had already purchased a second property. Now, it's amazing to me that at that point in time, I just didn't have anything that told me I couldn't do it. Like my family didn't tell me I couldn't do it. The agents that I was talking to at the time didn't tell me I couldn't do it. The bank didn't tell me I couldn't do it. So I figured I could do it, and I went ahead and did it. So now listen, I was 24 years old by the time we got to the second property. And what's crazy is that I had put myself in a position to realize that owning two properties was cheaper than owning one. That's the first lesson I learned. See, it cost me $331 a month on the first property. And what I decided to do was I decided to rent the property Section 8. And because that was a guaranteed check. And all I knew is that I didn't want to have to get caught with two mortgages. And I know everybody could kind of relate to that. Now, Section 8 paid me for that property about $500 a month. And you take the difference between what I was paying for the mortgage and what Section 8 was paying me, that difference, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was enough to cover the mortgage and give me $155 or so in my pocket, maybe $165 in my pocket if I'm doing my math right. Now, my second property cost me a little bit more because it was a little bit nicer. It cost me $478. See, it was actually, when you add up the debits and the credits, it cost me approximately $300 to own two and $335 to own one. Yes, that's pretty amazing, right? The bottom line is that if you continue to follow that lead, which is what I did, I continued to buy property. I would move, as if I were more like a tenant. Every 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 years, I would find myself another property, and I'd move on up a little bit, and end up finding myself with a few of them. And every time somebody else was paying off that mortgage, and while they're paying off the mortgage, the difference is coming into my pocket. Now let's fast forward. We are 29 years later. In the last 29 years, I already told y'all, the very first mortgage I had on that property was $35,000 or so, and it was at a 10% interest rate. Here's what's crazy. I want to say about 2001, I refinanced that mortgage. Number one, because I needed some cash. And since I had the asset and I owned the asset, I was able to refinance it. I only owed about $18,000 on it by that time, and I was able to refinance it for $65,000. I took the cash, and the tenant paid off the note. That's how that went down. That's amazing. Those kind of positions happen all day long if you're currently renting a property. That is what you really need to understand. You need to understand that the position of the person owning the property is the one in which the person has the power. So did my tenant know about it? No. Did they have a right to know about it? Absolutely not. Their only job was to pay me rent. And when they paid me rent, I paid my mortgage, and I already had the difference, somewhere around $50,000, $55,000 in my bank account to do what I wished. Now in 2005, that mortgage was down again. I had taken it down again, and I rewrote it again. I rewrote it again for a 15-year mortgage this time. My current tenant in that property that I'm speaking of is still in the property, and right now that mortgage is about to be paid off for the third time. I cannot speak to how amazing that opportunity is and what kind of a difference it can make in my life, in your life. It will provide me with an opportunity to maybe borrow again and go get another one, or do something else with those funds so that those funds produce or create something that I would like to have. Whatever you choose, it's your choice. I think, the last thought that I want to get to before I let everybody go today, and I hope I've brought you some value and some ideas to consider. But the last thought I want to tell you is, again, it's up to you to come up with what your life should look like. I've defined my life, and my life I want it to be free. I don't have to be rich. It would be nice because life is a lot easier if you have, more resources. But money is not defining me. My time and the things that I love to do are what define me. And because I'm in the career path that really makes more millionaires than any other career path, I'm able to capture enough of it so that I have the lifestyle that I'd like to have. One other thing I want to mention, when you make $100,000 in real estate in terms of gross commissions, it is definitely not equal to making $100,000 in wages. And the reason why it's not is because when you make $100,000 in real estate, because you are self-employed and you are receiving a 1099, you are able to deduct every expense that relates to you doing real estate. That includes mileage. And right now you can get 52 cents a mile off of every mile that you drive every time it relates to something you're doing in real estate. That means you can deduct at least half of your phone service. You know, these phone services are getting crazy. If you are operating out of your home, you have a home-based business, that home-based business can save you a ton of money because you can deduct rent or mortgage, a portion of that as it relates to how much space you use in your home. And these make that $100,000 go a lot further than it would if you were just a wage earner earning the same 100,000. So there are multitudes of benefits. And what I'm looking for are the people who are looking for me. I'm here to teach it, to train it, to inspire people, to walk you through the process, to put my arms around you, give you a big hug and say, you can do this, because I promise you, if I could do it starting as a single mom with 3 little kids who ultimately had 8, I've got 8 altogether, and sustain it and maintain it for 25 plus years, then I know there's a whole lot of other single moms or married moms or non-moms, whoever, men as well, who can get out here and make this thing go. My goal is to find you and to transfer this information. There are a lot of opportunities and a lot of avenues. I am just putting myself out there as an excellent way for you to learn these skills and for you to come to a new opportunity. So with that, Aaron, is there anything we need to cover before I get off here?
No, I think you covered it all. Repeat your contact information one more time.
All right. Thank you so much for moderating this and keeping me straight. So guys, again, my name's Theresa Barron, and I'm here to do what I need to do to help you to gain your best life. It is about self-sufficiency. I'm all about that, all about helping you to get to the things that you're striving to get to, but these goals must be defined by you. I would encourage you to take a look at a book called Think and Grow Rich. If you have not read that, you should read that book. It is by Napoleon Hill. It is the truth. Isn't it the truth? I started reading that 20 years ago, and I will tell you, it is something to get started with. It is a way for you to...
Every person I know will cite that book.
Yes.
Every single one.
Yes, yes. Because what we want is freedom. We don't necessarily have to be rich, but we do want freedom. If we make it to rich, good. Hopefully we help a lot of people when we have much more than what we need to actually do the things that we love to do. So you're being put in charge if you are given that kind of opportunity to actually make it to what we call rich. But what we're really looking for, what I'm looking to share, is how to become self-sufficient. And that does not require rich. It just requires a little bit of information and a little bit of rethinking. Again, it's Theresa Barron. My callback number, if you want to get in touch with me and you want to learn more about what we do at Take a Look Real Estate Brokers, it is 614-778-8503. We also are creating an online presence so that we can reach out way past our geographical barriers of the state of Ohio and share that information across the country. We have all kinds of wonderful systems that will help you improve your business if you're already in the business. And I will just tell you that I would love for you to get in touch with me, give me some feedback, let me know if there's other things that you'd love to hear about. And we will be here on Ask Theresa every single Wednesday, same time, same channel. So make it a wonderful day, and I will bid everybody a great week. Let's make it happen. All right, take care.